Hey guys, welcome back to my next video, or well, my current video now. But today I'm going to be looking over 3 games which actually led to my Immortal. So for some of you who don't know what an Immortal is, it's when I sacrifice most of my pieces, but still somehow manage to win the game. And I think it's very satisfying. You might enjoy this the last game at least because that's the Immortal. Alright, so let's get started. This is my first game against this player. Uh, the next 3 games are going to be with this player. And I play my regular here. I play my e4, e5, right? And I try to convert it to a fried liver, even though they kind of wanted a Stafford, right? So Stafford is when you take this knight, and they bring out another knight, just gambiting a pawn, right? And then you get a position like this. But we'll go over that later. That's not what I did though. I brought my bishop out. I wanted to castle, or I wanted to convert it into a fried liver first, at least. And that's not what happened. They brought their pawn out, and I'm like, okay, well, sure, why not? Let's just take, and take. I win a pawn, right? And they decide to defend their knight because, well, why not, right? The knight's, it's not fully defended. It's defended by the queen, but it would be better if you have one more defender. And so I did the same. I tried to put some tempo on this knight, because if we look at it through an x-ray, behind this knight is a vulnerable pawn, and behind that vulnerable pawn is a rook, right? So building up on this knight actually puts a lot of pressure on the in the position, right? Not only that, if the bishop were to move, first of all, I don't know, to threaten me, I could take, but I could also just deliver mate, right? So there's like this move, at least in my opinion, has a lot of dangers in it, and you have to be very careful. My opponent was, at least, and they kind of avoided, well, a horrible position, but they gave up their knight, right? And okay, although I am attacking this pawn, they defended it. But I think they could have played a move like this. The main reason is because my knight is pinned, right? In the end, what's going to happen? Like, okay, 1, 2, and then okay, after queen takes, it's not looking too well, right? And sure, they might have a rook taken away, but we could easily bring a knight, a bishop into the game and like completely convert it, right? Or at least they could. Sorry, not we. But anyways, we made the trade, and after that, I just decided to take a pawn, right? Like, I'm up in material. I was up a pawn, actually, I think. Yeah, I'm up a pawn. And so I'm like, okay, let's just take another pawn, right? Sure, I have a knight by my side, but, I mean, in my eyes, a more empty board with a few more pieces is just easier for me to visualize. And so that's exactly what I did, right? I gave up my knight, but I got 2 pawns. And I opened up my center, right? I could have taken with this pawn, but that doesn't really do much, except for allow me to bring my bishop out from the left-hand side. It's not what I wanted exactly. So I opened up the center, right? And now I just castled. And this was a blunder by my opponent. Well, I mean, you can see why. We can just take, right? And after a few moves, we just converted it into an endgame type of situation, right? We gave check, and at first I didn't know if this was a good move, but then it occurred to me my bishop is just defending that square, so I mean, why not, right? And then I brought my other rook into the game, and now there's just no way we're losing this, right? And so my opponent resigned at this point. And they offered a rematch, and I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So the rematch, I'm black in this case, and they went for d4, actually. And for my regular viewers, right, if you're a new viewer, let me just tell you that there's 2 things I play here. If the opponent is 1950 or higher, I play d5. Otherwise, I just play an England gambit, right? And this this doesn't exactly work at all times, and this was one of the times where it didn't work because, as we can see, we didn't win. Um, but I still play it because it's very effective if they do fall for it, right? So okay, we continue. They push, and we just decide to bring this out. The whole reason is so that they can take, and then I can develop a knight, and I still have my two center pawns, right? Whereas they lost their one. Um, but that's not what happened actually. They decided to bring their other center pawn out, and maybe taking wasn't the best of moves here because now there's no way my knight's coming out, right? Like I have to bring my bishop out first, then my knight out, and then my other knight. Like it would take time for a position that I didn't even want to begin with, right? And so I was keeping an eye on this fork, right? Because after takes, I kind of win a pawn back. Um, but okay, we get to this position, and maybe this wasn't the best of moves because this opens up my center. This one center pawn was like what could have changed everything, right? Uh, I could have pushed it up, and that prevents this rook from doing too much damage because it's not like the bishop can come out. It's not like any other pawn can attack. It would take a few moves for this one to come out and attack. So overall, this wasn't the best of moves, right? And okay, so we decided to just attack because why not just mess up their pawn structure completely, right? And that's not what happened actually. And this doesn't look like a good move, but they win a pawn, right? Uh, like I have to take because if I don't take, then well, there goes my rook. So I take, and this was a discovered attack the whole time, right? So that was a good move. I have to hand it to them, right? Um, and after a couple moves, they just completely wiped me out, and there was no chance of winning here, like whatsoever. Um, and I just resigned because well, he's coming after me, right? There's no way. Even if I manage to kill this, they have 5 other pawns. Okay, last but not the least, my Immortal. Um, this game, I'm so proud of this game because I managed to I managed to win out of at like such such a little amount, let's say. So again, I played my regular because I'm like, okay, I just lost the last game. Let's do the regular, right? And they did a different opening. I wasn't ready for this, but whenever there's an opening like this, I just try to break the center, right? It's exactly what I did. I developed more, trying to defend this pawn, right? Uh, I developed more again, pinning this knight, and they freed the pin. So I brought my queen out because, well, I mean, it's the only thing left to develop after I queenside castle. So that's exactly what I did. Um, at least later on in the game. That's what I planned on doing. But anyways, we developed more, and I'm just contemplating whether I should queenside or kingside. And so I didn't make too many moves, and I gave up my bishop here because I'm like, okay, hear me out. After they opened this up, right, which is exactly what happened, I could give check, right? I could give check, and the only reason I didn't give it right away. Let's go to the analysis board. Just so. Okay, yeah. So the only reason I didn't give check right away is because they can just defend, right? And okay, I could do this, but they escape, right? And so I didn't give check right away. I I had a pawn trade and like I tried to get the knight out of there, right? Just completely take the knight out. And at this point, I was so happy because I'm like, wow, the knight is pinned, right? The knight's pinned. What could possibly go wrong? Except I completely missed every. Like I just didn't calculate properly, and well, There's no escape from this. There's nothing I can do. I'd have to take, uh, or I'd have to let be, right? Because if I take right away, then that's not looking too good. So anyways, I just castled. I said, okay, I'll let them take, and I'll open up this H file. That's exactly what I did. I queenside castle. I let them take, and then here's another like stab, dare I say, um, completely destroying me, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, one of them's dying. Let's just take the pawn, right? And in my eyes, this was the more valuable rook, because I would have been able to come up with some type of attack later on, right? Could have been able to bring my bishop on. Okay, there's a fork, but would have just been able to move this back, and we could have come up with a different attack along the way. And so I was happy I just took this pawn. Except this isn't the rook that was taken. They took the one rook that was important to me. And well, it's just not looking good. Like if we look at Stockfish, right? There's no chance of coming out. Um, and so they make the best moves, right? We make a trade. Um, and I bring my knight out, right? So if I don't know if you saw, but like one of the arrows was to bring the knight to e4. That's exactly what I did. And now if you notice, uh, this is a fork, right? And so that was my whole point. I'm like, okay, well, let's go for this, right? Um, let's just go for this. But they saw it coming, and so I was forced to move this knight back first, right? Because danger levels. Like, okay, I could give a fork and then take this, but then there goes my other knight. How am I ever going to come out of this game? And so I moved this knight. And okay, after this move, I was kind of scared because well, first of all, it's an even trade, and I'm down in material, so that's never good. But then I just gave check, because whenever you're in a situation where you're getting forked, or you're getting skewered, something along the lines of this, the best thing to do is give check with one of the pieces, because that means you can escape, right? And so that's what I did. I gave check, and now, okay, I bring my knight here. Whole idea is, okay, I'm down 12 points, right? I'm down a queen, and I'm down a bishop, or a few pawns, at least, right? And the whole idea is to win back whatever I can, right? And they saw that coming. Now this was an inaccuracy by them, because this leads to a drawing position, right? And I'll show you why. Because after this, well, if they go here, that's mate, right? So they can't go there. If they come out and we give check again, they're forced to move back. We give check again, and that's how it's a draw, right? So that's exactly what happened at first. But this was an even worse blunder, because now there's no escape. Mate in 3, right? And I didn't see the mate in 3. I saw a mate in 5. Just as good, if anything, right? I won the game. But I'll show you how. I realized that, okay, my rook is defending this position, right? Or the f5 square. And so I gave check. And after they went back, I decided to give check again, because the h5 position is also guarded by this knight. And that's exactly what I did. Now, the mate in 1 at this point is this. This is checkmate, right? But I didn't see that. I didn't see that at first, and I'm not sure why. So what I did was I brought my knight out, then I brought my knight out again, and then I gave checkmate. Same thing, right? But I'm so proud of this, because, well, look at, I'm literally getting destroyed, and somehow we managed to come out of that horrifying position. And if you look at the times, like, I'm 3 minutes above them, right? So they spent a lot of time thinking about how to get out of this, but they just couldn't. There was no way, right? Um, and yeah, I hope you like my Immortal. Um, Again, I'm really proud of this moment. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And I'll try to get a more uh, an Immortal where I have less pieces, like maybe one less knight or a rook, right? Uh, one less rook, and we'll see if that's just as satisfying, if anything. All right, I'm signing off now.